Wow, the papers are a real interesting read today, I can tell you, from around the world. Aaron's joined me to take you through them. Let's just start with the front page of the I newspaper in the UK. It's got an outline there of the UK Labour Party's pre-election Brexit strategy. It says the party will rip up reckless Tory plans for Britain's departure from the European Union and seek a single market deal.
Indeed. In other election news, City AM reports on Monday's soaring European markets after Emmanuel Macron. He won 24% of the vote in that first round of the race to become the French president.
And with fears growing that North Korea could hold a nuclear missile test as early as today, the Japan Times reports that the Japanese government have told local prefectures to help residents prepare for what to do in the event of a missile strike.
God, that's scary, isn't it? On the front page of the Times, a landmark intercontinental whistleblower case. A Scottish marine engineer who dobbed in his cruise company employee, that was Carnival Corporation, Carnival Cruises, because they were pumping oil into the sea. He's been awarded $1 million for his efforts.
More on that in a moment. And according to the boss of the Universities and Colleges Admissions Service here in the United Kingdom, students shouldn't rush to get jobs when they graduate from university. The Daily Telegraph reports. Don't think they do they? Many out there for starters. Reports that parents should instead encourage children to move home and explore their options before embarking on a career.
To move home?
Yeah.
To come home,
yeah.
son.
As if that's going to happen.
We can talk about that. And look, take a look at this, because this is a shot on the front page of the Irish Times. This is the brand spanking new Poolberg incinerator taking its first ever dump of garbage.
I wrote that one for you, Aaron.
Thank you. I bet you did, didn't you? Yeah. Did you put the word pause after dump in there? Cornelia, good morning.
Oh, hello, sorry. We're so childish. Chair and Chief Economist at LBV Asset Management joins us. Thank you very much. Let's start with the serious business of Brexit, which features in a lot of the papers in the UK, as you can imagine, particularly the I. I suppose in many ways this is the risk Theresa May took to launch a snap election, that it gives parties like Labour to really reposition themselves on Brexit.
Yeah, it gives them an opportunity to reposition themselves. Labour certainly has done that with their plan of sort of tearing up what the Tories said. And look, I was a strong Remainer. But now that we're in negotiation phase, it's just simply not helpful for the country to be all over the place. We can say, well, now we have an election, we can be all over the place, and then we come together. But then we come together post the election. We're putting the window of negotiations, we're making it a lot smaller. And what are we telling our European neighbours, the people Monsieur Barnier, the people we negotiate against or with, when it's so clear that we're all over the place? Now, for Labour, this is not easy, because in many of their constituencies, people were pro-Brexit. And I'm fully with them when they say we have to safeguard workers' rights, we have to, help
this is more
people
about the negotiations, isn't it? With the Conservatives, it's all or nothing. Either accept the agreement, or we just still pull out anyway without one.
But some of the policies the Labour have on the table, though, go against the grain of the 17+ million people who voted for Brexit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we need to...
Good luck with that, Labour.
Good luck with that, but then it was a margin of about 2% that was in favour of Brexit. So and a lot of the people who were in favour of Brexit might not have thought through quite of the ramifications.
So you think this could be almost another referendum, an unofficial referendum on Brexit?
I don't think it's an unofficial referendum on Brexit. They're bringing out their news that it is and it isn't, but when you look at where Labour fares in the polls, it's nice. It just confuses people more. It confuses the other side more. But how Labour fares, it looks that Labour is not set to win this election. If you believe the pollsters.
Yeah, well, you know what the polls say, right?
Look what the polls got us with Brexit.
Exactly. And we'll talk about that shortly, actually, because, well, we can talk about it right now, because we look at this Macron rally on the markets. Yeah, I know I was doing my shows yesterday, looking at the markets, and European stocks had their best one-day gain in something like 2 years. $290 billion was added, if you will, to the global markets. But, Cornelia, I am wondering, this is my, I called it on Trump We saw what happened with Brexit. You don't believe, you can't trust the polls nowadays. I'm wondering if the markets are ahead of themselves or if the investors are counting their chickens before they hatch, because Marine Le Pen has, despite the polls, she has a chance of becoming the next French president.
I would say absolutely, and I think she has a chance. It looks right now like Macron is set to win.
Yep.
But what we have to see with Marine Le Pen, if you look at the visuals, at the optical things, Marine Le Pen is always with the people. Macron always has a barrier. Plus, Marine Le Pen, I mean, I would be a fervent, pro-Macron person, but Marine Le Pen, she has a party apparatus. Yes, Macron had the whole elite. He had François Fillon say vote for him, he had Hollande say vote for him, he had the elite say vote for him, but he doesn't have that party apparatus. You know, at some stage, somebody needs to go out there and get the votes. So it's, as they so nicely say, it's not over until the fat lady sings. So we have to wait. It looks like he's set to win. It would be disastrous if he didn't win, because Marine Le Pen...
Would it be? Why would it be disastrous?
Because she's trying to get France out of the EU. She's trying
What's wrong
to
with
get
that?
France out of
What's
the
wrong
Euro.
with that? We're out of it. Well, we're going. That's where we're going. So why not France? Come on, France.
I'm pro.
You're very pro-EU, aren't you? Yes.
I'm pro-EU, and also, you know, if...
Which is funny, because you're Swiss, aren't you?
And British. So
No,
now
I'm not
soon,
British,
and
but
soon I'll be no longer a member of the EU.
Oh, yes, you will.
Well, I'd love to see how the Asia stock markets respond to the increasing threat from North Korea. In the Japan Times, a report there on the front page about how families, children are going through various drills to prepare for a
Duck and
particular
dive.
nuclear
Remember Duck and
missile
Dive?
attack. This takes me back to the 1950s
Yes,
in
Duck
the
and
UK.
Dive.
Not that I was around then, of course, but
Oh, really, Chris?
just seeing the films. You know, people hiding under the stairs. I mean, it's terrifying, isn't it?
It's terrifying, but, you know, we have to see one thing. I've lived for 9 years in Japan. I was advisor to the Japanese Minister of Trade and Industry.
And they love a drill, don't they, in Japan? I mean, they prepare for absolutely
No, but
everything.
you have to understand, this is a country that's used to drills, it's used to earthquakes.
Yeah.
Everybody in their home has an earthquake kit. You are told what to do during an earthquake, and they have this J alert system, which is for tsunamis, for earthquakes. So it's a country probably better equipped than many to deal with a drill like that.
We're
because
rubbish in the
they
UK
have
at
to-
drills. When we have, when we have a fire alarm test here at the BBC, everybody just walks out slowly.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
it's-
sense of urgency.
Some of us can't walk out.
Yeah,
But you don't-
I'm gonna go.
But we don't have earthquakes. You know, we don't have the earth shaking and then things starting to burn and things like that. So in that sense, they're used to it. But the background of this is much more worrying, because the increased rhetoric from Washington, from the new Trump administration vis-à-vis North Korea, which is very much a blustering, negotiators tactic, is a bit worrying, because you see everybody is sort of, the tension is just ratcheting up gradually.
It is, but you know, you say about you point your finger at the rhetoric towards the US, but what about the rhetoric from North Korea that's been constant for some years, testing of bombs? I'm just wondering, is it, you know, some will say it's about time somebody stands up to North Korea, because if they get to a stage of having long-range, intercontinental, nuclear, I can never say that word, but ballistic missiles, then I don't know, you know?
I just wonder whether this is the right way to go about it. And I think, you know, increased sanctions and dealing with it, because the Chinese
But we've
have
done that in the
every
past.
interest.
I'll tell you what, Aaron, you don't want the man at the top of North Korea necessarily being overpowered by his own people and Americans moving in, because you don't know, you don't know where it's going to lead to. You don't know where it is.
If you're in America, it looks easy, but if you sit in Seoul, it doesn't look that easy, because this is a densely populated area. The last thing you want there is a war.
Just, can we do, let's try to get 2 stories in about a minute or so. Quick one on this whistleblower who came clean, so to speak, about Cunard, not Cunard, Carnival.
Princess Carnival.
Yeah, Carnival, the biggest cruise company in the world, that they were dumping oil at sea. And he's got $1 million for it.
Yeah, and he's got $1 million. He blew a whistle. They have to pay $41 million as a fine, which is not that much, actually, if you're Carnival. And he got $1 million, which is sort of encouraging for whistleblowers, I get to have some protection. This guy is 27 years old. He has no career. You know, once you've done something like this,
So that was
so
kind of
maybe that's a good compensation.
Speaking of dumping, front page of the Irish Times, this caught Aaron and I's attention. This is a pool bag incinerator taking its first delivery.
What is it, a big vat of acid?
It looks like it's just like a big Bath.
No, these things are. I mean, I used to do
15 seconds.
I used to do project finance, and these are big things. And the guy once told me, "We like burning things here." These are big things, big expensive things. These are major
But
infrastructure
environmentally
projects.
friendly as well.
Well, let's
better
hope
than
so.
incinerators. We'll soon see. Thank you very much for taking us through the
Thanks.
papers.
Thanks, Cornelia. Always a
Thanks
pleasure.
you for watching as well.
Bye.